Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I'm going to walk my happy butt over to the futon to check out the new VOD film, Invader. Invader is written and directed by Mickey Keating. It's starring Colin Huerta and Vero Maynez. This film tells the story of a woman who's dropped off at a train station in suburban Chicago. She calls her cousin to get a ride and no one answers at the house. She continues to call and still no answer, and she starts to get worried about her cousin. The house is only a few miles away, so she decides, you know what, I'm gonna hoof it and find out what's going on. Well, lo and behold, while she's on the way there, a home invader is in that house. And so she shows up kind of, I guess you could say, in the middle of all this. Now, I am a big fan of home invasion films. These films I find absolutely horrifying. I can sit and watch Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers tear up teenagers and babysitters all day long and laugh and have a good time. But a home invasion film, that scares the shit out of me because that stuff's real. People break into people's homes sometimes and they do terrible things like this. And I really find movies like this absolutely horrifying. This is the kind of stuff that really scares me. Real things. Not that this is based off of real events or anything. To the best of my knowledge, it's not. It's just these are things that can happen. To the best of my knowledge, this film does not have some occultist slasher or anything. It's just a person who decides to kick down the door in this house and start doing horrible things to the people inside, and then her cousin shows up. And I think that's kind of interesting because it almost like is a Deus Machina. So for the first time in a movie, we get to follow the Deus Machina on how they actually get there. All right, well, you know what? It's enough of me sitting here yammering on. It's time for me to head over to the futon because, of course, my good old movie partner Haku is patiently waiting on me, and I need to get over there and check out Invader. Just getting done watching Invader, and guys, this is one suspenseful, tension-filled little horror film. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with, well, I don't want to call them negatives today. I'm going to call it mixed and positives, because the things I'm going to talk about didn't really bother me, and in some cases, I honestly think it enhanced the film, but I do think that there's some things about this movie that might just kind of annoy people. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the cinematography in this movie. I am fairly certain that this movie was filmed with just one camera, and it definitely uses a handheld camera for the entire film. I don't think the movie was on a tripod or anything stable for the entire movie. So there's a lot of floaty cam, not necessarily shaky cam. Yes, there is shaky cam because there are points where people take off running, but it's more of like you're there with these people. You are going through everything that they're going through. So where I know some people cannot watch movies like this because they literally get seasick, I'm just giving you a warning because this film is 100% handheld cam. Now, I did enjoy it because I thought that it really added to the tension of this film. It gave it a different, unique vibe to it, and it did make itself feel more like a documentary, or that you were there in the mix with these people, witnessing everything that was going on. So despite the fact that the cinematography might annoy some folks, I really enjoyed it. Also, this film has very limited dialogue. Now, in the second half of the film, we start hearing a lot more speech. But for the first half of this movie is where everything's being set up. As I said, she's dropped off. It ended up being a bus station. I thought it was a train. It's a bus. So she gets dropped off at the bus. She's visiting her family from Mexico. So they're supposed to show up to give her a ride. No one's there. She waits around. Then, she decides to head on. And they give really good reasons on why she makes certain decisions throughout this film that seem like bad decisions, but when you really think about it, she was honestly making the right decisions. It was just that she was leading to something completely awful, and we know this as viewers, but of course she doesn't know this. So yeah, there's not a lot of dialogue, not a lot of action, but I don't really feel like this movie is what would be considered a slow burn, because this movie is not very long. It's just an hour and 8 minutes long, so it's damn near a short film in the first place. It's just like a long episode of Black Mirror, and to be perfectly honest, the short runtime actually works in the favor for this movie, because there's not a whole lot of story here. The movie does a good job of setting up the events that are about to unfold and what we're going to witness as a bystander in this film, but as in actually throwing in any kind of real solid story, the film doesn't really rely on that too much. This movie is more of an immersive experience, like I keep saying, like you're literally traveling along with these people. The lack of dialogue in the first part of the film has a lot to do with the fact that she's by herself. So there is a little bit, she does talk on the phone a little bit in this film, and so on. But most of the dialogue, most of the talking does take place in the second act of the film, where she's trying to figure out what's going on with her family and finally get into the house. Now, here's the thing. She doesn't speak the world's best English. Most of this movie is in Spanish. There are some English parts in this, but almost everything is subtitled in this film. And the reason why I really enjoyed that was it really added to the tension of the lack of communication our main character has in this film. She can't completely communicate with others around her, so it adds another layer to the tension and dread that this film's, leading up to. So again, I completely understand if you're someone who cannot stand subtitles, so I'm just letting you know right now, this movie mostly in Spanish. All in all though, guys, I would have to say this is an extremely solid film. I really enjoyed how this movie was made, how this movie was done, and the acting is amazing. So first off, as I was saying, the cinematography might make some people seasick, but I really enjoyed the way it worked out. It really gave me the vibe that I was there with these people, going through these experiences with them. It really helped me submerge myself into what was happening on the screen. The acting is great. All of our actors do outstanding jobs. The Invader in this film, I liked him. I don't think he really has any lines or anything. He's just this very imposing type of figure who's just supposed to scare the daylights out of you, and the actor does an excellent job in his role. Our two leads also are outstanding. The acting is definitely on point, and it really helps with this movie because it really relies on its actors a lot to do a good job. The first half of this movie, as I was saying, doesn't have a lot of dialogue. There's a little bit here, a little bit there, but not a lot. Most of the story is told through the actions and the facial expressions and all of our main actress, and she does a really good job. This movie is available currently on VOD. I watched it on YouTube, and I will say again, this is a very solid watch. It is not something that's going to take a lot of your time. It is only an hour and 8 minutes long, and it's just the perfect amount of time period for a movie like this. It gets in, it does what it needs to do, it delivers this extremely creep-filled, disturbing movie that literally shook me to my bones. But again, as I said, I do have a thing for the old Invasion horror film, and this movie definitely scared me. Also, the practical effects in this film, while there's not a lot of blood and guts, there is some blood and guts at the end of this film, and it looked really good. Some really outstanding practical effects were used in this film also. All in all, guys, I would have to say this is a solid watch, this film. As I said, I watched this on YouTube. It cost me $4.99 to watch it in high definition. I highly recommend this film. It's definitely worth your $4.99. So that's all I have for you guys. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.